Without the right information, buying a home in a new city can be a risky proposition. It's kind of like buying a shirt from a new online store that you've never purchased from before. You're not 100% sure what the size, color, or the real fit of that shirt's going to be. And you also have no idea how much it's going to shrink once you wash it for the first time. Well, buying a home can be similar if you pick the wrong neighborhood. So today I'm going to give you a roadmap to Halifax's top neighborhoods in the hopes that we can avoid you making a mistake of choosing a neighborhood you ultimately don't want to be in. My name is Chris Pickup. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty here in Halifax, and I'm excited to get into today's video. I was recently talking to a friend of mine who shared that when he and his family moved here from Ontario, they originally wanted to make the process really simple. So they just looked online, find a home that was well priced, and they put in an offer. Didn't think too much of it. While their offer was accepted, they moved into that home, and it turned out after a couple months of living there that the home was actually in a somewhat notorious area for not the best activities, we'll say. And so he and his family had to live there for multiple years until they could afford to move somewhere else. Pretty big mistake. So if you're considering moving to Halifax, I'm hoping to help you narrow down that search process so we can find just the right neighborhood for you and your family. Let's get into it. If looking at it from a map, Halifax's city center is actually on a peninsula. It's surrounded by water on three sides, which leads to some beautiful waterfront properties and some amazing views. Now, the rest of the Halifax Regional Municipality is off of the peninsula, and there's many suburbs that have been built out surrounding and extending out to the other parts of the province. So today we're going to look at Peninsular Halifax, as well as a few of the suburbs that surround the city center. Now, first up, we have downtown Halifax. This is that city center feel. It's a vibrant area with lots of shops, lots of beautiful buildings, and the boardwalk that goes right along the waterfront. It's a beautiful space, and there's lots to do down there. Some of the drawbacks to downtown Halifax is that it's quite pricey to live down there. That's where you're going to find the majority of the city's homeless population. As well as if you're looking to park a vehicle, Halifax is pretty poor when it comes to parking options, especially around the major universities. But if you're looking for Halifax's top restaurants and most vibrant pub scenes, you're looking at downtown Halifax for sure. Second on the list, we're going to look at the south end of Halifax. This is an elegant area with big, beautiful homes and big properties. It's the kind of neighborhood that's known for its historic properties and its tree-lined streets. As a result, the price tag to live in this area is probably the highest in the city. You're going to have some of the top choices for academics and even family opportunities in the south end, but that's going to come with your south end price tag. Heading north from there, we have the eclectic north end of Halifax. The neighborhood boasts a vibrant arts scene. There's going to be lots of local, smaller shops in the area, and many say a real sense of community develops in the north end neighborhoods. However, like any urban area, there's going to be pockets that develop a worse reputation, and in some instances, this is where you can find higher crime rates amongst other neighborhoods in Halifax. So you got to be careful and make sure you know which street, which neighborhood to pick when looking through the north end of Halifax. Now we're going to head off the Halifax Peninsula. We're going to shift our focus to Bedford. A great neighborhood with a huge family focus, lots of green spaces and parks for families and people to play and walk their dogs, and really just a great sense of community and a historic vibe. Bedford is another place where you're going to find some really good schools. And it's actually a place in the city where there's a lot of current development happening. Up Larry Utek area, up what we'd call West Bedford, there's a lot of new homes being built, and as a result, you're getting lots of new places to live. In that area, the properties are typically a little bit smaller. You're not going to get as big a lot to live on, but you're going to get a brand new home. In Old Bedford or Historic Bedford, that's where you're going to find the mature neighborhoods with a little bit bigger lots and the older properties, where it feels like you're driving down the street of a movie quality neighborhood. One of the drawbacks to living in Bedford can be that it does require a reasonable commute to get into Halifax, and that Bedford Highway is only a 2-lane road that can get pretty congested with the traffic that goes through there. Then across the harbor from downtown Halifax is where you can find Dartmouth, a place with really its own feel and sense of culture. It really has its own character. And there you're going to be able to find beautiful views. You're going to find a little bit more affordable properties, and it's a place that has its own real sense of community. Dartmouth is another spot that has some new development taking place and some beautiful, expensive properties, but can also have pockets of areas that have higher crime rates than the norm. So make sure you do your research before buying in Dartmouth. Number 6 on the list, we're looking at Clayton Park. Now this is an area where you get the feel of being in the suburbs without really having to sacrifice many of the city amenities. Clayton Park has a lot of restaurants, a lot of things to do, and it really is a wonderful feel of a neighborhood. And this is where it's worth noting that because Clayton Park does provide this kind of dynamic approach to living, where you get the city feel in the suburban environment, it's a pretty popular place to live. And as a result, the prices are quite competitive, which means you're going to get a higher price tag for what you're getting in terms of bedrooms and square footage. Next up, we'll talk quickly about Cole Harbour. This is a picturesque type of neighborhood. It's got lots of natural beauty, lots of parks and trails for everybody's tastes. And it can offer a peaceful escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And it's notably the childhood home of Sidney Crosby. But keep in mind, as with many of the other suburban areas, the further you get away from the city center, the longer you're going to have in commute times. But other than that, Cole Harbour is a beautiful place to live with quite an array of housing options in front of you. Next up, we have Sackville, another one of the beautiful suburbs of the Halifax Regional Municipality. This area is known for its beautiful lakes, its picturesque scenes, and beautiful walking trails with multiple provincial parks in the area. Sackville hosts a range of amenities from shopping centers to recreational facilities and, as mentioned, the parks and trails. Sackville is another area that continues to expand and grow, and it has one of Halifax's most sought after little pockets in its neighborhood called Indigo Shores out in Middle Sack. Sackville is known to be a place where you're going to get better bang for your buck. Because of the proximity to Halifax, you're still commutable, although it's quite a bit further than some of the other areas we've talked about today. You're looking at about 30 minutes to downtown. But as a result, you're going to get more house, more yard for your money. But on the plus side with Sackville, you have a reasonable commute to downtown, you have an easy access to Dartmouth, and you're only about 15 minutes from the city's airport. So it's quite a convenient, diverse area. In the 9th spot, we're going to talk about Timberley, another just beautiful subdivision, an area with lots of natural beauty surrounding it, where you're going to get lots of hiking trails, lots of big, beautiful homes on bigger plots of land, because it's a reasonable amount further from the city. And in Timberley is where you're starting to get closer to the edges of the South Shore, so you're going to see a little bit more variable weather in that part of the province. But with that, you're going to get a whole lot of beauty and a relative proximity to downtown Halifax. And lastly, we're going to talk about Eastern Passage. It's a coastal area that offers some breathtaking views of the ocean and another area with a beautiful boardwalk. It's a place where you're going to find a real sense of a tight-knit community, and you're going to get to experience that laid-back maritime demeanor. Eastern Passage is also home to one of the military bases in the area, so a high percentage of military personnel who move to Halifax end up living in Eastern Passage because of its proximity to the base. And with the beauty of living right basically in the ocean, you're going to get the downside of being subject to more of that ocean weather. You're going to get higher winds, more fog, and likely more rain. So there you have it. There's that first look at these 10 neighborhoods in and around the Halifax area. I hope that this provides a little bit of a roadmap and a little bit more context for you as you're considering which neighborhood might be the best one for you. Each area has its own unique charm and its own considerations, depending on the lifestyle that you're wanting to live when you get to Halifax. So make sure that you take your time, you weigh your options, and please reach out to a local who can provide a little bit more context and a little bit more specific information as you start to narrow down the neighborhoods that you might consider moving to. And if I can be a resource for you on this, I would love to be of service. I was born and raised here in Halifax, and I feel like I have a pretty good sense of the different neighborhoods and streets of the community. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel to come along for more real estate information, real estate entertainment, and project reveals. My name is Chris Pickup. I'm with eXp Realty here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Happy house hunting.